Hello everyone, Raven here, and welcome back to the channel. So today I am bringing you the new Insect Glaive build that I have been working on, and a few other builds that I have used in the past. And as always, these builds are just templates to fit my own playstyle. You can adjust them to fit your own playstyle. They're not also exclusive builds for the Insect Glaive. They can be used for any weapon. All you have to do is just adjust a few armor pieces and a few decorations to fit the core skills that you need to have on your weapons. And yeah, let's get started. So the first one is the newest one and the latest one, and the one that everyone is talking about, the Tempered Rey Dau armor set. I really like this armor set. It gives me the ability to reach 95% affinity, depending on the weapon and depending if I have affinity rolls on it. I'm using the helmet, the chest, the arms, and the waist from the Tempered Rey Dau, and I'm using the Mitsu Greaves beta to give me 2 levels of burst with 1 level 3 decoration. Now when this build allows us to have maximum might level 3, burst level 5, latent power level 5, 2 levels of weakness exploit, and 2 levels of evade extender. Now the start of the show is latent power, which gives us 50% affinity and 50% stamina consumption, or less stamina consumption. But when certain conditions are met, this is the issue that I have with this skill. The way it's described in the game is not clear. It doesn't tell you when it activates, what it takes to activate. So there are 2 videos that I think are very helpful when it comes to latent power, the explanations. So I will link them in the description. But essentially, the way to activate latent power is by staying in the vicinity of a large monster, basically fighting a large monster for 2 minutes, or getting hit by the monster for damage equivalent to 125 or 130 of your HP. So these 2 conditions will trigger maximum latent power, and so when it's activated, you will have about 50% affinity, and when you pair it with maximum might level 3, you will have another 30. So now we are sitting at 80% affinity, and if you included weakness exploit when you're hitting a weak spot like the head, and for some monsters the wings, for example, you will have another 10%. So now we are at 90%, and there's a 5% for my weapon, so total is 95% affinity. So some weapons you will have more affinity rolls on them, like for example my switch axe, which is actually overcapped. I have about 95. Yeah, I have about 20% affinity on it because I have 1 affinity roll. So now I am overcapped, but it's okay. I don't have all the buffs will not be active the whole hunt. So when one of them is on cooldown, like maximum might, I will have some affinity to offset the loss. And yeah, so I will not be overcapped for the whole fight. Yeah, so this is the first one. I'm using also burst level 5, which I think it's an overkill, but I have nothing else to slot in. Maybe if I'm feeling cheeky and I want to just apply or create wounds faster, I can use 2 levels of flare. So now I have 3 levels of burst and 2 levels of flare. And if you noticed, I have nothing on the talisman. This is entirely up to you. I like to keep it like this to give me the flexibility to choose what to use depending on who I'm fighting. Like if I'm fighting Zoshia, obviously I will have I will maybe slot in evade window. Sometimes I slot in earplugs to give me the immunity from the roars, or if I'm fighting something like Rey Dau or Gore, I will take evade window, and then I will just change this to have counter attack. So now I will have extra damage every time I'm dodging. But the one that I think fits this build perfectly, which is this one, Counterstrike. If you have Counterstrike, every time you get hit, which we will be, obviously in any hunt you will be hit, you will have 25% attack, 25 additional attack for 45 seconds. So when you are getting hit to activate latent power, you will also be activating counter attack. And this one is entirely up to you. You can do like I did, chain level 5, or if you feel like it's an overkill, you can take it off and slot in counter attack, or slot in foray if you're using weapon like paralysis or poison, or if you want to create wounds faster, you can just use flare. But yeah, this is the first build. Now the second build is similar to the first build. We're still keeping latent power, we're still keeping maximum might, but we are adding antivirus to this build. We are using 2-piece from Gore Magala and 2-piece from Rey Dau and 1-piece from Anjanath. Every single piece, we are using the beta version, the Gore Helm beta, the Gore Legs beta, the Guardian Fulgur Anjanath beta, and also the chest for the Rey Dau and for the waist, we are using Rey Dau Gamma. So with this build, as you can see, I have no talisman, I have no decorations yet, because there are so many ways where we can customize this, but without any decorations except for 2 decorations that have sane jewels. This will take us to level 3 antivirus. We have level 5 latent power, level 3 maximum might, and level 3 antivirus. So these 2 maximum might and latent power will give you 80% affinity. The tricky part is the activation for latent power. So 50% from this, 30% from this, you are sitting at 80%, another 15% from this. I know this was bugged. It used to say 15, it gave you 10, but I'm pretty sure it's fixed by now. So 15% from this, you will have about 95. And let's say if it's bugged, you will have 90%. So this, you can customize this in so many ways. You have a talisman slot free. I will slot in, as always, Counterstrike. Also, if you can slot in evade window to take it to level 5. If you're fighting something difficult and finding it hard to dodge some of his attacks, you can slot in evade window. Once I find it, okay, where is it? Okay, here. You can have evade window level 5 in this build. You can have Counterstrike, which I like. And also you can even slot in either chain, or if you're gonna slot in evade window, you can benefit from counter attacks, so that when you're dodging attacks perfectly timed, which is easier to do with evade window, you will get extra attack power. So you can also slot in tenderizer for more affinity when latent power is not active, or you can take it to challenger jewels. You can have level 2 agitator. You can get up to, I think, 7% affinity at level 2. No, 5% affinity. So we can pair it with another one here. We can use level 4, and then you can take this to 2 levels of counter, right? So now you have level 4 agitator, which is 10% affinity. This is why I don't like agitator, because it's an expensive jewel to have. So if I take it out, I can have, let's say I remove agitator and slot in maybe chain, and then slot in Counterstrike. So now, and then I have this free. So I can have this 2 free to slot in either destroyer jewels or evasion jewels, like evade extender, or my favorite for the Insect Glaive is to use 2 level 2 earplugs. So now I have level 2 earplugs, and when I have all 3 buffs on my Insect Glaive, I am immune to all the roars and all the interruptions. So yeah, so there are so many ways you can slot. You can customize this. That's why I left it empty when I was showing you this build. And you have decent affinity. Also, if you have a weapon with high affinity like the Gore Magala Insect Glaive, which has 20%, you will be at 100 or even more. So yeah, this is the second build. Now the last one, which is the one I used the most, which is the standard meta set, which was 4-piece Gore Magala, all beta. I think this can be alpha as well. And the chest from Arcveld beta. And using these decorations, we have 4 level 3 decorations, using them all for tenderizer jewel, and using 3 mighty jewels with 2 sane jewels and 1 phoenix jewel. With this build, we have maximum level of weakness exploit level 5, maximum might level 3, antivirus level 3, and 2 levels of agitator and 2 levels of coalescence and evade window. So with this build, the ideal is that you're hitting weak points to get the 30% from weakness exploit and 30% from maximum might when it's active. You will have 60, and then with 15% from antivirus, you are at 75. And you can also use the corrupted mantle. Even though it's nerfed now, it gives us another 10, so now we are at 85, and another 5% from my weapon, we are at 90. The Corrupted Mantle used to give us, I think, 30% affinity or 20%. So it used to give us a lot of affinity and a lot of attack power. But now it's nerfed. But it still fits perfectly for this build. It still fits well with the Gore Magala armor set bonus and, you know, the antivirus bonus. There isn't much customization that you can do with this build except the Phoenix Jewel. It's only useful if you're using elemental weapons or weapons with status effects. But you can take it out. You can slot in, I would say, 1 level of Counterstrike for extra 10 attack. Or maybe if you want to destroy parts easily, you can use Destroyer Jewels and, you know, Evade Extender if you want to. But yeah, this is also one of the main sets that I used for most of the grind for the Arctian weapons. So these are the 3 Insect Glaive builds that I wanted to showcase. I do have other Insect Glaive builds, but just not to make the video longer for you. But I do have Insect Glaive builds to switch depending on the situation. Like this build, the Zoshia speedrun build, allowed me to finish the hunt in 7 minutes, which isn't that huge, but it's under 10 minutes, so it's a huge achievement for me. You also have one that I used to stack as much defense on it and as much wind resistance to counter the stagger Zoshia has. And yeah, I keep switching when I'm fighting something difficult. I keep adjusting my builds. But these 3 are the main ones. This was the main one I used, but these 2 are going to be the most used builds I have, and until another crazy set is added to the game. So if this video helped you out, please leave a like and a comment. Also, this is my first build video, so if you have any comment on how to make it better, please leave it in the comment section. And yeah, I will see you in the next one. Peace.